Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, good morning.
Good morning, Mataji. Hare Krishna. I'm sorry I had to restart my computer so things would work. I hope everyone is doing okay.
कृष्ण प्रभु जी
हरे
दंडवत
कृष्णा प्रभु हरे कृष्णा प्रभु दंड प्रणाम जय श्री कृष्ण
Hare Krishna. Dandavat
Hare
pranam.
Krishna. Dandavat.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी धन्यवाद प्रणाम हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam. Jai Srila Prabhupada. So I'll just start with a very short Jai Radha Madhav and then we will start from there. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jai Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jai Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Shri Radha Madhav ki Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki Hare Krishna. Very nice to see you again, Gopal Govinda Prabhu. Thank you for joining.
कृष्णा
Yes. And your Guru His Grace Katru Prabhu visited here, and it was so nice, his visit. So wonderful. Said,
yes he was telling a lot of good things about your
oh,
hosting
but we
yeah
actually didn't take good care of him, Prabhu. We were not so.
no it was wonderful and he liked it, especially the topmost thing is book distribution, the amount of love you have for book distribution and preaching. He was very happy, and in fact he mentioned to our senior leads that this is how we should follow. We should follow how you do that.
That's his compassion. Thank you, Prabhu. And he was also saying very wonderful things about you and your family. So I think it's just his nature to say very good things, especially in my case. So that, and then also he has written something like 25 books. It's so
Yeah.
amazing. Himself, he's written 25 books. Yeah.
Every year produces 2 books.
Wow. Amazing. So thank you again for everyone for joining. Raji Sham Prabhu, thank you for coming. Hare Krishna. And Atul Prabhu, Hare Krishna. And everyone, it's sorry for missing last week. I try to be as regular as possible, but there's just certain things that come up. Actually, today at our temple here in Naperville, His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj is coming in 2 hours. So I was thinking, should I, there's a lot of service there to be done, but I said no. Today we're going to do the class no matter what. So, we will have a class today, and then yeah, he's coming to the Naperville temple. So I'll just turn this light off in the back. Someone's saying that there's an effulgence here. Okay, I think this is better. Oh, Hare Krishna B. Thank you for joining also.
Hare Krishna Parvaji. Thank you for
Hare
having me.
Krishna. Hare
The fan light was good, Prabhuji. Haribol.
Krishna. No, it was a bit, thank you. I didn't realize, yes. Does anyone remember which mantra we finished last time? Just because we skipped last week, I was having difficulty remembering. Can anyone remind me where we're at?
We completed 2 and 3.
Okay. So today we're on 4. Is that right?
Yes,
Sure.
Prabhuji.
Okay. Okay, so as always, we will start with our introductory prayers to the spiritual master. Om Gyanam Timirandhasya Yananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadammayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitangsha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Vyaeva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, text 4. Mantras 4 to 8 in brief. We will know the Lord through his revelation and by developing the qualities of an Uttama Bhakta. So, though this is the Upanishads, this Upanishad is so special because it actually describes the quality and the nature of an Uttama Bhakta devotee, of the greatest devotee, and how we can know the Lord through the Lord's mercy. So, overview of this section, which we're now, we're starting text 4, right? Or text 3?
4, Prabhuji.
4, yes. So, mantra 4 talks about the inconceivable Lord is known only through revelation. Mantra 5 speaks of Krishna's inconceivable potencies. Mantra 6 speaks of the vision of a Mahabhagavata. Mantra 7 describes the consciousness of a Mahabhagavata. And mantra 8 describes Krishna's qualities known to Mahabhagavatas. Very beautiful. So Krishna, with his energies, is known only through his mercy, through revelation. And then mantra 5 describes what Krishna's potencies are. And then 6, 7, and 8 describe the qualities and the vision and the consciousness of a Mahabhagavata devotee. So we're embarking into a very confidential part. So this is mantra 4. Before we read this, I actually just quickly want to do review. And so I'm going to share the other screen so that we can read the verses of Isopanisad, what we've covered until now, for the context. So this was the invocation. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Mudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete, and because he is completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself. Because he is the complete whole, even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains the complete balance. Text 1. This was the Ishavasya principle. Given that Krishna is the complete whole, everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota, and one should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. Then text 2. So accept only what is our quota, don't be greedy, engage everything else in the service of the Lord. And if we do this, we don't get a karmic reaction. We don't suffer. So therefore it says, one may aspire to live for hundreds of years if he continuously goes on working in that way. For that sort of work will not bind him to the law of karma. There's no alternative to this way for man. And then text 3. And a person who doesn't do this is a killer of the soul, a suryanama teloka. The killer of the soul, whoever he may be, must enter into the planets known as the worlds of the faithless, full of darkness and ignorance. So this is the result of not working in this way. So in some ways, this world also is full of darkness. So we are finding different people in different situations in this world due to their forgetfulness of Krishna. And now text 4. Anejadekam manasa javiyo naina devapnuvan purvamarshat tadhavato jnanatyeti tishtat tasminnapo matarishva dadati anejadekam manasajaviyo naina deva apnuvan purvamarshat tadhavato jnanatyeti tishtat tasminnapo matarishva dadati. So this is describing Krishna's inconceivable potency. Although fixed in his abode, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is swifter than the mind and can overcome all others running. The powerful demigods cannot approach him. Although in one place he controls those who supply the air and rain, he surpasses all in excellence. So describing the Lord's amazing, inconceivable potency. And this is a theme in the Isopanisad, which is Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva, inconceivable oneness and difference, the quality of the Lord, that he is inconceivably one with yet different from this world and from the living beings and from everything. Because everything comes from the Lord, yet everything is not the Lord. It's also different than the Lord. In the same way, this achintya, this inconceivableness, is applied to the very nature of the Lord. All contradictions are resolved in the Lord, in Krishna. All contradictions are present and resolved in the Lord. He's fixed in one place, yet he is swifter than the mind. He's running the fastest. He is a person, yet he is all pervasive. Fixed in his abode, Shama Sundar, threefold bending, playing the flute, yet simultaneously he is within the heart of every living being, yet simultaneously he pervades the entire world. Although he is in Vrindavan, he is controlling all the demigods. Although he's Krishna's small little baby, Mother Yashoda's small little baby, he is the most powerful, the most excellent in all ways. And this is the purport here. Prabhupada explains this. And he speaks about what we will discuss more, the power and the powerful. The Lord and his potencies are one and different. He is the powerful, and his power, his energy is non-different than him. And so, and all of us are his energy. We are his we are one of his threefold energies. And therefore, we, as part and parcel of the Lord, are samples of the Lord. We, as part and parcels of the Lord, are just like him. We're just like him. We can see Krishna's nature by analyzing our nature. Yet, we are very different than him also, because right now we're conditioned, we're covered. We have unwanted qualities. But the pure soul, the pure devotee of the Lord, is godly, very much like the Lord, because that spirit spark, the soul, when it's uncovered, when it's in its original position, then it becomes beautiful like the Lord. It is just like the Lord. So I'll just read the first paragraph here of this purport, which is so nice. Through mental speculation, even the greatest philosopher cannot know the Supreme Lord, who is the absolute personality of Godhead. He can be known only by his devotees through his mercy. The Brahma Samhita 534, it is stated that even if a non-devotee philosopher travels through space at the speed of the wind or the mind for hundreds of millions of years, he will still find that the absolute truth is far, far away from him. The Brahma Samhita 537 further describes that the absolute personality of Godhead has his transcendental abode known as Goloka, where he remains and engages in his pastimes. Yet by his inconceivable potencies, he can simultaneously reach every part of his creative energy. In the Vishnu Puran, his potencies are compared to the heat and light that emanate from a fire. Although situated in one place, a fire can distribute its light and heat for some distance. Similarly, the absolute personality of Godhead, although fixed in his transcendental abode, can diffuse his different energies everywhere. So, Krishna describes in the Gita that for one who surrenders unto him, he says, I am the swift deliverer from this ocean of birth and death. Otherwise, we can perform meditation for millions of lifetimes and still not realize the absolute truth. And this is why we're not against meditation, we're not against yoga, but we know that yoga meditation by itself will not lead one to the truth. It must be mixed with bhakti, with devotion. Devotion must be in the forefront. Then, if we approach the Lord in love and surrender, then the Lord very quickly will show himself to the devotee. So, so that is the beauty of the Lord, and that is the beauty of this process. That through service and surrender, through love and devotion, only we can know this inconceivable aspect of the Lord. We cannot know it by our own meditative efforts, and this is why all the gurus who teach meditation in the East and in the West, in India and in America, unless their process is devotional service, this process of unalloyed bhakti, we will see that their followers, they get some feeling of peace, they calm down, this, that, but they are very slow in their spiritual progress. Because here Prabhupada is saying, even if you travel the speed of the wind or mind for hundreds of millions of years, by our own strength, by our own mind and meditative power, what is our meditative power? We cannot understand or reach the absolute truth. The Lord is far beyond. So this is the nature of the Lord. So now I will share the screen, the slides. To love Krishna, one must know him. But how can tiny, limited beings know God? I mean, how great the Lord is, we sometimes cannot imagine. Prabhupada said we are like a frog in the well who tries to imagine the ocean. How great he is, all these planets, all these stars, all the amazing, natural scenes just on this one planet Earth. What to speak, this one universe has 100 billion galaxies, each containing 100 billion stars. This is what modern science says. And each star has a solar system around it, and many, many solar systems around it. And of those solar systems, in one of those solar systems, there's one Earth. And on this Earth planet itself, there's so much to see that even if one travels one's entire life, you cannot cover all the things to see in the world. This is how expansive just this Earth planet is. And all these billions of galaxies are coming from Krishna. So what can we know? Really, I mean, how wonderful, how great is Krishna, and what can we know? One time the sun was rising, and the sunrise was so beautiful, and a disciple told Prabhupada that, how beautiful is this sunrise? And Srila Prabhupada replied that if this sunrise is so beautiful, then how beautiful must be the creator of that sunrise? So if to love Krishna and to know Krishna, we must go through the descending process. We must, only by Krishna's inconceivable, unlimited mercy can we know even a fraction of who he is. And we must beg for that knowledge. So in mantra 4, the point is that the inconceivable Lord cannot be approached by our limited means, by pratyaksha. We must need shabda. We must need revelation. Mantra 4 informs us that although the Lord is always situated in his own abode, he cannot be approached by the mind or even by the powerful demigods unless he reveals himself to us. We cannot imagine or understand his transcendental abode or activities. The Lord's eternal abode is situated within his spiritual or internal energy. It is only when the individual spirit souls, known as his marginal energy, desire to enjoy separately from him that they are placed within this material or external energy. So we always knew him. We were here. We were in the spiritual world. So we were aware of his internal energy. And thus the Lord was revealed to us. But we had the desire to enjoy separate from him. So here we are, this very proud, rebellious soul. And so therefore, Krishna places us in the external energy so that we can try to enjoy all we want in this material world. Thus, when we engage ourselves in his service, desiring to dovetail our activities for his enjoyment, he naturally becomes inclined to again reveal himself and our eternal relationship with him in the spiritual world. So when we engage ourselves in his service, Krishna is more eager to have us back than we are eager to go back. So he's waiting for that spark. He's waiting when we will genuinely, with our full heart, want to serve him. When we have unalloyed love for him. And the moment we develop those qualities, he's ready to bring us back. He wants to draw us back. But to become purified and have unalloyed devotion for Krishna is not easy. It takes a lifetime of practice, like Prabhupada says. It takes sincere effort. It takes very strong determination. But it's also very simple and sublime. If we do it, then Dhruva Maharaj saw the Lord face to face within 6 months. If we do it, then we will attain the Lord very easily. Spiritual life or pleasing Krishna is still easier than material life. Just yesterday, there was a program here, and the lady who organized the program, she was a newer lady, and she was mentioning how to organize this satsang, this program, this spiritual program was so easy. She said all the pieces were just coming together. And she was sort of an upper class, wealthy lady. And she said she has parties regularly at her home, and these parties are so much trouble. But to do something for the Lord is so easy. This was her realization. And I told her that, yes, this is a fact, actually. If we try to do something for ourselves, improve our material position, improve, make ourselves happy, it's so difficult. We make so much effort and still nothing comes of it. And you'll notice if we do something in the service of the Lord, we get spiritual happiness so easily. Like if you go and have a nice vacation, you notice this, you try to organize your vacation, then always something goes wrong. Either hotel's horrible or or you go there and there's it's a bad season, it's raining the whole time, and there's, too many mosquitoes. Or one devotee went to this perfect island. He had said this, he thought, I'm doing so much devotional service, but I need some me time. So for him and his wife, he booked a cabin on this beautiful island. It was picture perfect. There's turquoise blue waters all around him. It was perfect weather, nice and warm, to bathe in the ocean, and it was crystal clear water. The cabin was like a little house in heaven. Bright blue skies above them, nice food. Even his wife was in a good mood. The whole thing was just there. And they get to the cabin and they stay there, and then the next morning they go out and they sit on the patio in chairs facing the ocean. And then just as they're sitting there, they see this little sign. They say, "Be aware, crocodile was spotted." And then they inquire with the hotel management, and they said, we never have crocodiles here, but just 3 days ago, someone on that island where you're staying that you booked saw a crocodile walking right next to your cabin in that area. So we don't recommend that you go outside. Please stay inside your cabin. So this is material life. Perfect, so much effort, so much arrangement, but still. And then he said, we literally had to pack up and leave the island. I mean, who's going to bathe with a crocodile? The crocodile actually goes in the ocean. Alligators don't, but crocodiles go in the ocean, and it's very dangerous. I mean, it's very dangerous. They can kill you. So they just had to pack up and leave. But if we do something for Krishna, you go and you do some preaching activity or something, like devotees go on Harinam, then no organization, no planning, and the weather will be nice, and you'll have the best time in your life, and the sun will be out, and even if the sun isn't out, everyone is having the time of their life. At the end, the prasadam is so good. If you do something for Krishna, you have the best vacation. Like when we go for some preaching activity rather than material vacation, if you go to like a festival in Mayapur or a festival in the Baltic Sea, like devotees were doing in Poland, they do every year, you'll have the best vacation. And you'll also, because it's in the service of the Lord. So, if we simply dovetail our activities in Krishna's service, we can become fully satisfied. So a very important concept in our tradition that is important to know is this concept of energies. And this is what makes this philosophy so deep, so wonderful. Because the Mayavadis, they say that the Lord is only energy. And others may say that God is only a form. But what we say is that the Lord is intrinsically, the Lord is invested with his energies. So the Lord and his energies are one and different and non-different, which means that the energies of the Lord, what I'm trying to say is that, like Krishna, Krishna's there and he has his guna, he has his Leela Shakti, his Rupa Shakti, even his form, his qualities, everything are his different energies. So by the conception of energies, we can understand this idea of oneness and difference, because the energies are one with the Lord, but the energies can be also identified separately. Just like the fire has the energy of heat, light, and the power to burn. So the fire is one, yet it has these different energies. So this simultaneous oneness and difference, though inconceivable, we can partially understand through the concept that the Lord has three main types of energies. An internal energy, this is the spiritual world. This is always spiritual. The marginal energy, which is us, it's also always spiritual, but the marginal energy can identify with the spiritual internal energy, or our marginal energy can identify with the material energy. And that is our choice. We have choice, and that's why we are called marginal. And then we have the external energy, which is this material world. And this internal, marginal, and external energy are like the energies of fire. Although situated in one place, a fire can distribute its light and heat for some distance. Similarly, the absolute personality of Godhead, although fixed in his transcendental abode, can diffuse his different energies everywhere. So very simple to understand. The fire is in one place, but the light is visible 100 meters away. Fire is in one place, but the heat can be experienced 10 meters away. In the same way, the Lord is situated in one place, but his energies, his power can be experienced everywhere. So this verse is describing 4 characteristics of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And these characteristics are as follows. 1, he is fixed in one place, but he is the swiftest. 2, he can't be approached even by the demigods. 3, localized. He can't be approached even by the demigods if we try the ascending process, if we try to approach him by our own power. But he can be approached by everyone through love and surrender. 3, Krishna is localized but controls all parts of the creation. And number 4, he is the most excellent. And that is the meaning of the term Bhagavan. Bhagavan means one who possesses all opulences in full. And these opulences are described as 6 in number. He's all power, all strong, all wealthy, all intelligent, all beautiful, all famous, and all renounced. So this Isopanisad is a very powerful book because I've actually met people on book distribution or after, devotees, who said that by reading this book, I read it and reread it again and again. By reading this book, it really shook me up. It removed my misconceptions, and I became a devotee. Ravindra Saruprabhu became a devotee by the Isopanisad because Prabhupada says it right in the beginning, that you cannot know the Lord through your own limited senses. And also in so many places in the Isopanisad, he gives very powerful arguments in response to impersonalism, showing by evidence from the scriptures that Krishna is not just impersonal, he's also a person. He's both. This fourth mantra of Sri Isopanisad very clearly suggests that the absolute truth is ultimately the absolute person. Otherwise, there would have been no need to mention so many details in support of his personal features. Like even the first sentence of this word is so powerful. Prabhupada says, one cannot know the Lord simply through meditation and mental speculation. And one has to know through revelation, and only through revelation can we know the personal features. We can become Brahman realized, but just by reason, by negating, by saying, God is not this, not this, not this. And so therefore he must be beyond this. But what he is, that we cannot know through logic. That has to be revealed to us. And here's mantra 5. Tade jati tannai jati tadure tadvantike tadantarasya sarvasya tadu sarvasyasya bahyata tade jati tannai jati tadure tadvantike tadantarasya sarvasya tadu sarvasyasya bahyata. The Supreme Lord walks and does not walk. He is far away, but he is very near as well. He is within everything, and yet he is outside of everything. The Supreme Lord walks and does not walk. He is far away, but he is very near. He is within everything, and yet he is outside of everything. So the same contradictions, you could say the same inconceivableness of the Lord is being further elaborated in this verse. This is why these two verses actually go well together. They're like a section, verses 4 and 5. And we'll be covering these two verses today. The remaining 6, 7, 8 are talk about the devotee, and we'll do that next time. But same principle. The Lord walks, but does not walk. So, so this is the inconceivableness. Mantra 5 continues this discussion, describing that the Lord has inconceivable potencies, which render him unknowable to those whom he does not favor. This is the Lord in the form of Vishnu. An illustration of his inconceivable potencies is given in this verse. Mantra 5 illuminates the Lord's inconceivable spiritual nature At any time, the Lord can be present, both within the material world and the spiritual world. He's in the spiritual world, he's in every planet, and he's in the material world as well. Yet when the Lord appears in this material world, such as the deity or his holy name, for the sake of revealing himself to us and accepting our service, foolish people conclude that he has accepted a material form. They cannot understand the Lord's ability to convert material energy to spiritual energy, as he is the source and controller of both of them. So this is a very interesting point. In the introduction to the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which Srila Prabhupada wrote, in the introduction, Srila Prabhupada writes that actually, we talked about the three energies, right? But he said actually there aren't two energies, the material energy and the spiritual energy. He said actually the energy of the Lord is one, like power is one. Yet the way we experience it, the way we need to experience it, it manifests that same power as material and spiritual. Just like the same power in the powerhouse is manifest according to our desire as heating in the winters and as cooling in the summer. It's the same power coming through that power line, but it has completely opposite effects based upon our circumstance, our reception. So when we see something separate from the Lord, when we see something as apparently separate, nothing can be separate from the Lord, but apparently separate from the Lord, then that is material energy for us. But when we see its connection with Krishna, then it's spiritual energy. Therefore, Krishna, for his devotees, he converts the material energy of stone into the form of himself, the deity. He converts a material sound that we say through our material mouth as a spiritual energy, the holy name of Krishna. And similarly, he converts material energy to spiritual energy when anything in this world, like the microphone, fan, flowers, anything in this world is used in Krishna's service. That material, so-called material things become spiritual because the connection with Krishna is being established. When we recognize something in its relationship with Krishna, then it's spiritual energy. Mantra 5. Thus, to the surrendered soul, he is very near, but to the unsurrendered, he is very far away. So Krishna says, in this verse says, he's both near and far. So Prabhupada is further explaining, well, he's near to the devotee always, he's far away from the materialist. So this verse is describing three contradictions of the Supreme Lord. The Lord walks, but doesn't walk. He is far away, but very close also. Inside everything, but also outside. So this is why there's so many images of Lord Nrsimhadev, because it's actually describing how Lord Nrsimhadev's pastimes is perfect. When Prahlad Maharaj points to the pillar, Lord Nrsimhadev comes out of that pillar. When he points to that pillar, then Krishna is present in that pillar. Yet Krishna is also present in the spiritual world. So to the devotee is very close. He's right there. And we cannot forget this, that the Lord is very close to us. He's in our heart. But if we forget him, then he appears to be far away. He's very close, but he appears to be far away. He appears not to walk as a deity form, but if we love him, then we can see him, how he walks. And we see the story of Sakshi Gopal, where the deity walks. He walks to wherever the devotee wants to take him. And Lord Nrsimhadev is inside everything and also outside everything. He's inside the pillar and yet outside of the pillar. So this verse is speaking about impersonalism versus personalism. And impersonalism and personalism. Achintya bheda tata, simultaneous oneness and difference. Within our limited fund of knowledge, we cannot accommodate such contradictions, and therefore we conceive of the Lord in terms of our limited powers of understanding. For example, the impersonalist philosophers of the Mayavada school accept only the Lord's impersonal activities and reject his personal feature. But the members of the Bhagavata school, adopting the perfect conception of the Lord, accept his inconceivable potencies, and thus understand that he is both personal and impersonal. Both personal and impersonal. The Bhagavatas know that without inconceivable potencies, there can be no meaning to the words Supreme Lord. So one time, Ravinda Sarup Prabhu wrote a letter to Srila Prabhupada. He was a PhD, one of Srila Prabhupada's first very intelligent, very educated disciples. So he wrote to Prabhupada that Prabhupada, I want to dedicate my life to stamping out, or you could say to stamping out impersonalism and establishing that Krishna is a person. So he writes this letter to Prabhupada that this is my goal, to establish that Krishna is a person. But Srila Prabhupada responds back and he tells him, he says, very good, this is very nice, but remember that Krishna is both personal and impersonal. So as devotees also, we shouldn't make the mistake of just saying God is a person, but we should say he's both personal and impersonal, because then this will attract both parties. And this is the summum bonum. This is the kind of the synthesis of these two theses. Therefore, Bhagavatam is giving the highest knowledge. We should not take it for granted that because we cannot see God with our eyes, the Lord has no personal existence. Sri Isopanisad refutes this argument by declaring that the Lord is far away, but also near, but very near also. He is the eternal form, the primeval Lord. His impersonal aspect, or Brahman effulgence, is but the glow of his personal rays, just as the sun's rays are the glow of the sun god. So, like the sun and the sunshine, you have Krishna and his Brahman aspect, effulgence. Although there is oneness, the Lord, in his personal form, still enjoys unlimitedly all pleasures enjoyed minutely by the tiny part and parcel living entities. So in his oneness, he doesn't lose his identity. In his oneness, he connects the whole world, but he doesn't lose his identity. And this is mantra 6. Okay, so very nice. Any questions? Any comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, if you can give one more example for those three contradictions, I'm really sorry, like little more explanation.
So these contradictions, right? Yes. So I'll just answer the first question, and then Alicia, I'll answer your question. Who asked the first question? Prabhu, sorry, I missed.
Yashoda Vatsal.
Yashoda Vatsal. So, what could be a nice example of this? So yes, when Krishna goes to the forest in Vrindavan, he goes during the day, he tends the calves and the cows. So he leaves Mother Yashoda and the gopis, and he goes to the forest. Now, when he goes to the forest every single day, the gopis feel immense separation from Krishna. It's very difficult for them to get through the day because they're missing Krishna. They're waiting to see him again. Mother Yashoda wants to see his beautiful face. So Krishna is very far away. Yet at the same time, these are pure devotees of the Lord. And so when they say the name of Krishna, Krishna's there on their tongue. Krishna's present within their heart. There's no difference between the Lord and his name. We say this. So they are completely absorbed in Krishna. Krishna's always there with them. At the same time, he's very close. So Krishna can be both far away and also close. Krishna is very far away, yet he's in our heart. So Krishna's far away, but through his potency, through his energy, he's very close. So that's an example of the second one. The first one walks but does not walk. This a nice example is the deity. The deity does not walk. But he also walks. As Sakshi Gopal, he walked. The devotee asked him, please, I need you to bear witness for me. So please come to my village. And the deity walked. So Krishna can do both things. He is impersonal and also personal. He's inside everything, yet he's outside. He's present within every atom. He's present within our hearts, yet he's also present as a deity outside. Does that explain it, Prabhu, or were you asking for something else?
No, that's what, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's a nice question. Yes. Yeah, very nice. Another example by Brajeshwari Priya Mataji. The Lord eats the offerings that we give him. Every day, gulab jamun, rasgulla, we're giving him. But also he doesn't eat. He leaves it for us. So he does both things simultaneously so nicely. Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Rajiv Shyam Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. That was very nice, actually. Very nice lecture. I had a question about like the Brahman effulgence. So we talk about love for Godhead, right? So is that only in the personal form, or
Yes.
is there the love, does that exist in impersonal?
You brought up a very nice point, because this is the problem with the impersonal conception of God and the process of just meditating on the impersonal concept of God, the light. Because in that, there's no place for love. In the idea of impersonalism, or the idea of oneness, that everything is one, right? Some monist philosophers say everything is one. But love requires two. You can't have love with one. So essentially, they are denying themselves the opportunity to love. If we say that God is only impersonal, because one, you cannot love an energy, you must love a person. And secondly, for love, you need two people, at least, minimum. So one time, an Advaitin philosopher, she was a very committed, she came to Oxford University. I was doing my PhD there, and she came. And she was speaking, she gave a talk on Advaita. And I asked her this. I said that, how do Advaitins, see the phenomena of love? Does it exist in the ultimate state? And she was very actually taken aback by that question. She really didn't have an answer, because in the impersonal conception, there's the idea of bliss, enlightenment, but not really love as the ultimate goal. But in the process of bhakti, Lord Chaitanya says, Prema Pumartha Mahan, that my highest goal is not bliss, it's not power, it's not knowledge, jnana, but Prema Pumartha Mahan, the highest, the greatest, Prema Pumartha Mahan, the greatest goal that a person can achieve is prema, or pure love for Krishna. That's where we're shooting at. That's the highest position, the highest goal. So therefore, the personal aspect, both Krishna's both, but the personal aspect is more important, and the impersonal comes from the personal, because bhakti and love is only possible with the person.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Anything else? So one quick question I had was, does everyone have the homework and the study guide? I'd shared it before, but sometimes, there's so many messages people get, you lose it. Is everyone finding that okay? Lakshmi Kandalai Prabhu, or Mataji? Sorry.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Wonderful class. It's just mind-blowing how much, information.
Prabhuji, can you just explain, in the 4 characteristics of the Lord, the one point he can't be approached even by like the demigods, the devatas?
Yes. And that's why that image was there. It is actually very significant to have that image, because this is actually a fact. All the Vedas describe it, that the demigods, when they approach Krishna, Lord Vishnu, this is kind of almost an artist conception, because when they come to Shvetadvip, this is not even Krishna, this is Vishnu, kind of in the material universe. He has a spiritual planet within the material universe of Shvetadvip. They can only come to the shore of the ocean. They cannot even go and kind of meet him face to face. And they come to the shore of the ocean and they meditate upon the Lord, praying for guidance when there's a problem in the universe, praying for his help. And then it's described that Lord Brahma only sees Lord Vishnu within his heart. And then he transmits that message to the demigods. So maybe once in a while they actually see Lord Vishnu, but most of the time they cannot even approach the Lord. This is how great the Lord is, in relation, the demigods are so small. And this is why it's an offense to the holy name to consider the names of demigods to be equal to or independent of Lord Vishnu. Because they are jivas, they're small jivas like us. They have, they're not even unalloyed pure devotees of the Lord. Most of them are not. So they are not even in touch with the Lord. What to speak of having the same power as the Lord. A devotee of the Lord is far beyond, is more exalted than even the demigods, because the devotee has the direct association of the Lord. Like Mother Yashoda, when she binds Krishna as Damodar, then there in the Bhagavatam it's described, Bhagavatam says that Mother Yashoda achieved that benediction which even the great demigods could never achieve. Even the demigods, they can't get that. So it's not an ordinary position to be a pure devotee of the Lord. And the demigods are devotees, but they're devotees with material desires. So they're not pure devotees. And therefore the pure devotee is more exalted than the devotee. Than the demigod, yes. Does that answer your question, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu, thank you.
Thank you. Nice question. Okay. Anything else? So we'll stop here. Very nice to see all of you again. Thank you for joining.
Hare
Please
Krishna.
keep up with the homework, and we will meet next week. Hare Krishna.
Dandavad Pranam, Prabhuji.
Dandavad Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavad Pranam.
Dandavad
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna,
Thank
Dandavat
you. Hare
Pranam.
Krishna.